Let's take a moment and explore the details of the simple drawing tools that we have access to here inside of Blender. You can find all of our drawing tools on the toolbar on the left-hand side of the interface. And we're going to start with the first one, the pencil tool. And in every sense, this is going to be kind of like our workhorse tool. This is going to be the tool that we use to create most all of our animations and our artworks here inside of Blender. And as one might imagine, it's a pretty easy tool to use. If you're using a mouse, just got to left click and drag, and wherever your cursor goes, you're going to draw a line. Now I'm using a pen tablet here, which is the exact same thing. I'm just going to press with my pen and I draw out a shape, which is pretty cool. If you look really carefully here, we have two different challenges that we need to overcome. First and foremost, the thickness of our line is whisper thin. And in addition, these lines are actually semi-transparent. They're not completely opaque. Let me show you the properties of these of our pencil tool that we'll need to change to adjust the size and the transparency of our strokes. Now, all of the tools have properties that are going to show up at the top of the screen. Right up here. This row up here is always going to be home to our tool properties. And there's two that we need to examine, the radius and the strength. Right now, the radius is set to 20 pixels. And this is what we get, just a real thin super stroke, thin stroked line, which is pretty cool. Okay. If I increase the radius, I'm going to increase the size of my brush like that. Make it real big. And now it's real big. The strength is going to determine the opacity of the strokes that we create inside of our viewport. The default value is 0.6, so this is like 60% opaque. I have a section here that I previously has drawn, and before I change the strength, watch what happens when I start to stroke down on top of it. Yeah, isn't that cool? We're layering in. We're painting with multiple layers, levels of opacity. And we can create this really cool kind of ghosting effect. At times, however, we're going to want to be able to go in and have all of our strokes be 100% opaque, so not see-through at all. And adjusting the strength to 1.0 is going to give us that ability. Now, we're not painting and drawing with transparent objects. They're completely opaque. Now, one of the things that we need to be mindful of when we're working with a pen tablet specifically is the pen pressure of the tablet itself. I'm going to just go back in time a couple steps. Okay, there we go. And I want you to notice that we can accept the tablet pressure with this icon right here for both the radius and the strength. If I very lightly drag on my pen tablet, I get a very thin stroke, but the harder I press, the bigger the brush is going to be. The same thing goes and is applied to the strength. The lighter I press, the more opaque, the more transparent our stroke is. But then I press really hard and it becomes more opaque as we go. If you don't want to have this on, just make sure that the pen pressure button is turned off. Now it's going to accept whatever the value here is. It's always going to be 224 pixels in radius, and the strength is always going to be 1.0. So be mindful of that if you're using a pen tablet. Don't need to worry about it if you're using a mouse. In addition to being able to adjust the radius and the strength, I also want to show you a great keyboard shortcut that's going to make you a more efficient artist inside of Blender. We're going to be changing the radius of our paintbrush all the time. It's one of the most common things. Leaving the area that we're working on to change the size of our radius can be a little bit of a problem. So here's a great keyboard shortcut. It's the F key. The F key will allow you to interactively drag left and right with your cursor. Just got to tap it once, tap F key, and then move your cursor left and right. And we can change the size of our brush. See? Pretty cool. Make it much bigger. Zoom. And we're up and running, which is pretty great. Same thing goes with strength. Let me hit undo for a couple steps. Now, instead of F, we're going to do Shift F. And that's going to allow us to interactively change the strength. So here we are at 0.091. You can see the value in the center there, which is pretty great. Now we're at 0.38, so on and so forth. I'm going to go all the way back out to 1. And you can see the result that we get, which is pretty great. So F and Shift F will allow us to interactively change the radius and the strength right underneath our cursor, which is pretty great. Okay, so in addition to the pencil tool, we also have the eraser tool. And the same properties, if you will, that we were just looking at should be remembered for the strength and for the radius. So I'm going to decrease or deactivate the pen pressure. And let's make my radius much bigger. And I can just go in and erase all of this inside of my scene. Now, as you're working inside of Blender, please remember that we're not painting and drawing with pixels. We're painting and drawing with strokes. If you're coming from another application like Photoshop or Krita or Toon Boom, those are rasterized bitmap painting environments. You're painting on pixels. We're painting on strokes, or painting with strokes. We're going to get kind of a similar effect, right? We can still kind of, build up shapes and have these really cool wispy forms. So the effect, the end result is going to be the same. But remember, whenever you mouse up, you're actually creating a new stroke. Mouse up, creating a new stroke. Now, even though it looks like I've kind of filled in this block here, check it out. If I was to zoom in and go into edit mode, Control Tab to get the pie menu, check it out. We actually have a whole series of strokes that have been preserved inside of the frame itself. Of course, these strokes have some great advantages. I can continue to edit my drawing after I've done it. And this is the big advantage of working in a stroke-based painting environment, is that our strokes are always live. They're never rasterized. They're never kind of baked into the paper itself. Because I can grab it and grab that one. There's so much we can do. We can even jump into like our point editing mode, grab some points along the way. We just have a lot of customization that we can do. This is not the best example of this, but the larger point being is that you're painting with strokes. All right, let me get rid of all of this. There we go. Just a quick little boop, 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 boop. Now, in addition to the pen and the eraser tool, we also have some really great shape tools as well. This is the line tool. Now, when it comes to working with the line tools or the shape tools, we're going to get these yellow handles, which will allow us to change the orientation of our shapes very quickly. At the conclusion of this, we got to hit the return key. We can't go on, okay? Notice that I'm trying to draw another line. I can't draw another line until I confirm the previous step. Once I hit the return key, the yellow dots go away. I can continue making a new line. Now, these shape tools are fantastic. If we look at like the square tool, for example, I can very quickly drag out a square, which is awesome. Okay, liking that very much. Circle, same way. I'm gonna just drag out a circle. Once I'm happy with the shape, I get these little handles, the yellow dots, hit the return key, and I'm up and running. Okay. Let's go back into the pencil tool real fast because I want to show you something here that's pretty neat. I'm just drawing with the pencil tool, and let's pretend that I've made my stroke or my line too big, and I want to make it much, much smaller. Well, we don't have to redraw it. We just need to change the radius values. Another great illustration of the power of the stroke-based drawing engine. I don't need to redraw this with a smaller radius. I just need to change the radius value of the stroke. Let's jump into edit mode real fast. And I want to make sure that this object is selected. I'm going to go into my stroke selection engine. I can also hit the number 2 key on the top row of my keyboard and ensure that this stroke is the one that's orange. Now over in our toolbar, check it out. Right here, this is the radius tool. And this is going to allow us to interactively change the radius of an existing stroke. And the way that we do this is just simply left clicking and dragging inside of the interface. And now we can make it smaller, which is pretty cool. If I go back into draw mode, let's do it real fast. Have another one, okay? Maybe too thick. Go into edit mode, select the stroke, go into my radius tool, make it smaller or bigger for that matter. I can make this as big as I want. It's a great way for us to very quickly go in and adjust the strokes after the fact. Now, if you don't want to use the eraser tool to delete your strokes, you don't have to. Sometimes the eraser tool can be a little bit problematic. There's a keyboard shortcut that will allow us to delete anything inside of Blender. Buyer beware. This is a global keyboard shortcut, and it's the X key. If you have an object selected or a stroke selected, you can hit X and delete the points, and it's gone. So these are the simple drawing tools inside of Blender. Take a couple moments, do some squiggly lines, get comfortable with how they work. That way, when you're ready to start making your animations, you're up and running.